What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video. In this one, it's team selection for game week 34. So I'm going to take you through transfers and captaincy plans ahead of the double game week. There's some interesting ways that I can take the team. I've got 2 double game week players already. It's just about how many more I get and how I fund that, and obviously what that means for the future as well. Just before we jump into that, I'm going to go through my team for game week 33. The game week's not quite over yet at the time of recording. We still have Burnley and Southampton to go. I'm hoping for big points from Weghorst and Broja, but I'm not really expecting too many. I have got a red arrow so far. I'm down from like 14k to just inside top 17k. So it's not a disaster, but it could have been a lot better because somebody went back on my free hit video, the original draft that I put out with Barnes and Maddison, triple Man United, including Telles. And they worked out that I would have got 114 points from that team. So a bit of a nightmare that I didn't go for it. If I'd captained Ronaldo, I may not have captained Ronaldo anyway. But the potential was there. Whereas I'm actually on 70 points minus 4, which is 66. Will a free hit in 36 or 37 gain me as many points? Possibly not, but it's done now. My 3 transfers were Lacazette, Son, and Doherty to Wood, Fernandes, and Cancelo. None of them really worked out massively. Obviously, Cancelo got the clean sheet, which was nice against Brighton, but Doherty's out for the season. Lacazette was missing the double as well, and I wanted a captain in Man United, and look, it hasn't worked out. I don't regret it at all. I think if I told you before the game week started Man United were going to score 3 against Norwich and Spurs were going to lose 1-0, I'm sure a lot more people would have gone for Fernandes. It just so happens that Ronaldo got all the points, Fernandes didn't get anything. It is what it is, right? People were writing off Man United. I knew they'd score goals against Norwich, and maybe they were a little bit fortunate in the way that some of them came. But ultimately, like I said, I don't regret doing that. Whether I go back to Son now is an interesting question. I'll talk about that in just a minute. Elsewhere, very happy that I kept Weghorst. He's finally got a goal. Hopefully he gets another win against Southampton. We'll see what happens. A little bit fortunate with Saka. Obviously, his points came from a penalty. But maybe now, how well he took it. He was obviously very happy to take it after the England, misfortune when he missed for England in the Euros final. But he took it well. So maybe he's now back up to Lacazette. And if Lacazette's not going to be on the pitch too much, who knows? Over the next few weeks, maybe Saka gets a few more penalties. And just lastly, Salah. This is why I was more happy selling Son than Salah, because I knew he was playing Man United. I expected Man United to lose that game, and they did. They were really poor, and Liverpool were just Liverpool, right? They do what they do. They score plenty of goals, and I really want Salah going forward. And this is why I just don't really pay attention to form. It's more about the player, the fixture. And Salah against Man United just looked better than Son against Brighton. Simple as that. On another day, it could have gone the other way, but that's how I'd always make my picks, and that's why I wanted Salah going forward. Everton next, some good fixtures coming up, captain in the double, easy. So that's 33, 66 points so far. It's not great, but it's not awful either. Let's look at 34. Okay, so I've only got 1 free transfer this week. I'm probably going to take a hit, which I'll talk about in a little bit, because it's going to be for a couple of attackers, most likely. I think this team was wildcarded in game week 26. Obviously, a long time now since that's happened. There's still plenty of double game weeks to come. I still have 1 free hit left as well. But I'm going to have to take some hits over the next couple of weeks to try and keep up. I think my team is just not perfect enough to warrant just 1 free transfer every single week. One thing I should have mentioned in the Game Week 33 review is just how bad Reese James has been since I brought him back in. So Game Week 31 and 32, he made cameo appearances. He got 0 points and then 1 point. Last night he plays, concedes 4 to Arsenal, so he ends up on 0 points again. So he's got me 1 point in 3 game weeks, and I've played him every single game week. And I've got him as captain right now, but I'm not happy about that at all, because Rudiger's probably going to be missing that West Ham game. We don't know for certain, and Tuchel will have another press conference before the weekend, but it doesn't sound good. So he's probably missing. Not only that, Reese James is playing right centre-back quite a lot. Now, he did play right wing-back for a bit in the Arsenal game, and obviously he's a much, much better FPL option when he plays there. As an owner, the reason he's playing right centre-back is so Tuchel can get him on the pitch more, because it's a less demanding role than having to be up and down in the right wing-back position. I'm sure at some point he's going to play more regular minutes there, but we can't be sure when that is, and so I'm not happy about captaining, plus Rudiger missing. I probably want to bring in an attacker and captain them instead. So he's my captain right now because I don't really have too many other options apart from Fernandes or Salah. But that isn't going to stick, okay? I'll come on to Chelsea players in a minute. But as an owner, look, if he has to play right centre-back to be on the pitch, I'm happy with that. Cancelo, obviously great. I think the fact that he is suspended for the first game of the Champions League really helps us from an FPL point of view. I think there's a chance he just starts every single game from now until the league is either won or lost. And obviously it's so tight at the moment. That could be a long, I say long, right? There's only 5 game weeks left, but you know what I mean? It could get up till game week 37 and 38 until that's decided. So I'm really happy with him. Trent is Trent. The only other decision is Dubravka versus Sarr. I'm probably going to go for Dubravka for 2 main reasons. One, I have Weghorst. I'm not expecting him to do anything necessarily against Wolves, but if he does, that wipes out the clean sheet, whereas I don't have any Norwich attackers. And also, Newcastle have just been pretty good defensively recently. In the matches against both Leicester and Palace, they kept down. I've looked at the kind of data for expected goals conceded. They kept those numbers down really low. They are just playing really well at the moment and limiting the amount of chances their opponents have. And look, Dubravka has been frustrating for me in the past. It was that kind of goal from Havertz in the kind of, last 1 or 2 minutes. He did that a couple of times. But ultimately, I think Newcastle have been good. And Norwich are still, although they are playing better, and Pukki might be one of my transfers in soon, in terms of expected goals per 90 minutes, they are still the lowest in the league. And so it's got to be Dubravka. So it's pretty close again. Last time it was close, I went for Dubravka because he was at home and Sarr was away. This time they're both away. So I'm just going to go for the guy playing Norwich. All right, so I am playing 3-5-2 again this week. I know I've talked about going to a one-striker formation, 4-5-1 or 5-4-1, but ultimately I just have to manage the game weeks as they come, and I don't have enough game weeks to move off that this week. And also my strikers have got okay fixtures this week. So 5 in midfield. Let's get through the easy ones first. So Salah obviously stays. I think Everton at home is a really good fixture. To be honest, I'm kind of on the fence about Reese James captain. I really don't want to do it. I'm probably even less tempted right now to captain Fernandes as well. So if I had to stick with this team, let's pretend that I just couldn't do any transfers, Salah would maybe be my captain. I think he's that good this week. The only, I guess, slight doubt is, will Klopp use this as a game to rotate some players to rest them? Now, I think the narrative usually would be, well, it's against Everton, it's a big derby, all right, Merseyside derby, but he's rested and rotated players in previous seasons for this game. And I think, yes, it's a big fixture in terms of derbies, but realistically, in terms of what Liverpool have got to fight for, they can probably win this game resting a couple of players like Salah. I don't think he will be rested for what it's worth, but it might put slight doubts in my mind over captaining him. So yeah, that's my thoughts around Salah. I'm not going to sell him either way. I think with Saka, I have to hold him. Again, it's just about priority transfers. And yes, his next 2 fixtures, Man United at home, West Ham away, aren't necessarily great on paper. But I think right now everyone knows that Chelsea are a better team than Man United. Arsenal probably a better team than Man United as well right now. And Saka's probably fine. He's not a priority to sell. He's got Leeds at home in the double in 36. I think it's Everton at home in 38. And Newcastle away in 37. I'm not 100% sure when I'm free hitting yet. But overall, the fixtures are probably okay, and I'd expect Saka to get some. I think he's just probably a season keeper for me at this point. Rafinha and Kulusevski will come on to in a second. I'm probably selling Fernandes this week. Now, I originally went from Son to Fernandes for captaincy reasons, and I did think about going from Fernandes back to Son, but I'm now actually thinking I'm just going to go without Son. For now, anyway. I just don't see a point where I buy... If I don't go for him this week, I don't see a point where I buy him back, and I'm not necessarily happy about that. For example, I could do Fernandes to Son, and then upgrade Tierney or Luka Dean to a Chelsea defender like Alonso. But I think with Rudiger out, and Alonso's minutes not necessarily being 100% secure, I'm not sure about that. So I'm probably going to do Fernandes to Mason Mount, and then I'm probably going to use that money to get Havertz in as well and go for double Chelsea attack. I think with their fixtures, West Ham at home, Man United away, it's not a bad time to play either of those 2 teams. I think Havertz maybe Lukaku was played because, Tuchel wants to play him back into some form, but he wasn't great. I think he came off in the 59th minute. Havertz came on then. Havertz is their first choice number 9. The fact that he didn't play the last game almost certainly gives him the West Ham game. And then I'm thinking, if Tuchel really wants to win that Man United game, you play Havertz instead of Lukaku. That is just the situation right now. Lukaku might next season be brilliant. He might go somewhere else and be brilliant. But right now, Havertz is better than him for this Chelsea team. So I think there's a pretty good chance he plays twice. I'm slightly worried about Mount because he's just played again against Arsenal. he does usually play most matches. So I'm not bringing him in thinking he's this massive rotation risk. But I do wonder if he might get some minutes off from either of these two games. It's a tough one because Chelsea have pretty much got top 4 wrapped up, but it's not 100% certain. So I'm thinking Fernandes to Mount, and then I'm going to use those funds to get Havertz as well. And I may captain Havertz instead of Mount, just because I think he's not guaranteed 2 games, but maybe it's more likely because he just got the rest. I don't know. Chelsea fans, let me know what you think below. But I think if Mount and Havertz both play the next 2 games, is it worth taking a punt on Havertz when most people are going to go for Mason Mount captain? Possibly. The only thing is Mount could be on penalties when Jorginho's not on the pitch. Maybe that swings it to his favour. But I think I'm going to bring both of them in. The question then is, do I sell Rafinha or Kulusevski? Now, Rafinha has Man City at home in game week 35, which is not ideal. But if I'm honest, I'd rather have Rafinha for the double game week in 36 than I would Kulusevski. And maybe next week I can swing it so that I can just bench Rafinha possibly. So right now, I think my moves are Fernandes to Mount and Kulusevski to Havertz, maybe captain Havertz, and that's my triple Chelsea, James, Havertz, Mount, and then I decide what to do for that by game week 36, because I do think there could be rotation in that second game. But I think that's my moves. I think in a normal week, I wouldn't sell a double game week player, but with McTominay possibly missing and Fred probably missing at least one of these games, I just think that midfield for Man United just looks so poor right now. There's no legs, right? To use words that Ranić uses, there's no physicality, there's no intensity in that midfield for Man United. And I think that is a big worry. And I think these are games they should be able to step up and fight in. But look what they did against Liverpool. I think these are easier games, but they're not super easy, right? They're still fairly difficult. It's easier than Liverpool, but most teams are easier than Liverpool. I think Man United are going to struggle in both of these. So I'm probably just going to use this money to get on double Chelsea instead and just hope that they go big. Although not so big against Man United, preferably. Okay, so I think with my strikers fixtures this week, Weghorst against Wolves at home, Wood against Norwich away, I can just about justify playing them. Again, of course, I'd rather have like a Laporte or a Robertson or maybe even like an Alonso over one of those players. But I think my priority is to sell Fernandes and then decide where to use that money. And right now, it's probably to get a second Chelsea attacker instead of a second Chelsea defender. I don't want to put too much emphasis on what happened against Arsenal, but I just think more people are likely to go for double defence. And so I'm probably trying to go a little bit different. I do worry about that going forward because I think Havertz and Mount in game week 36 could be a problem, but that's a problem that I have to try and solve closer to the time, either by free hitting or using a transfer to move one of them off, possibly to a Man City midfielder if they double in game week 36. But I think playing Wood against Norwich, right, I think that's a pretty good defensive target. We all agree on that. Even though I know he's taken hardly any shots, this will probably maybe be his last game in my team. And Weghorst, I'm just happy he got the goal. I'll see how he does against Southampton. I didn't necessarily need him to score a goal to play him this week. It has helped, I must admit. I just need to see him keep his place under the new kind of management structure they got there. So I think that's it, right? And if we come on to this website, which is called FPL.team. Someone always asks me every single week. This is what it would look like. So Fernandes would go to Mason Mount. I'd probably remove Kulusevski. I'm not 100% certain on that. I may keep him and sell Rafinha, but I do think Rafinha is better for double game week 36. Possibly bring in Havertz. Broda goes to the bench and I play Rafinha. I'm happy to play him against Crystal Palace. It's not an easy game, but he's had a rest. Leeds have had a rest. Who knows? They could be decent, right? Maybe we captain Havertz over Mason Mount. Again, I'm not 100% deciding on that. And I think when I see everyone else going for Mount, it might put me off a little bit. But that's the team for this week. And then that gives me 2.3 million in the bank. Now, one move I can do with that money is Tierney to Robertson. And I could do that for a -4, but a -4 to bench Weghorst, I'm just not sure about that. And if Liverpool are going to rotate, maybe that is this week, and maybe it's Robertson out for Tsimikas. We'll have to wait and see if we get any kind of early news. So I don't really fancy doing that. So I'm going to undo that move. This will probably be my team for a -4. Next week, you got that Rafinha against Man City. I also have Wood against Liverpool. So let me just get... I don't know why Robertson's still in there, actually. Yeah, okay. Now Robertson's out there. So I would have to probably make a move to either bench Wood or Rafinha or possibly both. One thing that could happen, if I decide to free hit in game week 36, which is a possibility, I'm still waiting to see where the Man City fixture go. Either way, whether the Man City fixture goes in 36 or 37, free hit's not that easy to decide. But if I do it, then Rafinha to Coutinho becomes an option this week, because then he has Norwich, and then maybe I free hit in 36, and in 37 he has Palace at home, Burnley at home, and that's potentially captain material. So that's something that I could do as well. But for this week, I think, for game week 34, I think I'm going the Mount and Havertz route. I don't know if I'm... Part of me just thinks, just get one extra Chelsea player. You don't have to go triple. Because I think by game week 36, these fixtures here, Leeds away, I just think there's I think James, Mount and Havertz could all be rotated in that Leeds game. And I'm not going to have enough transfers to sell all of them. And the fact that they play Watford in game week 38 at home, I'd probably want some of them then anyway. So I'd probably just hedge my bets and maybe just sell one of them and hope that they get some minutes in both games. But that is a little bit of a worry for going for both. So there is... I think because it's a double, you kind of want 3 this week. That's what a lot of people are going to do, especially on wildcard. But I think if you could get away with it, if they don't go big in either of those games, maybe Mount gets 1 goal across both fixtures, could you maybe just go for 1 or 2 Chelsea players and then aim for different players for 35, 36 onwards? That might be a better strategy. I think if they had easier fixtures, I'd be really worried about doing that. But I think West Ham and Man United can at least try and keep the score down a little bit, right? And I say that with a bit of a smile on my face because of how Man United played against Liverpool. But yeah, that is just in the back of my mind. Could I just go for 1 and then next week maybe look to completely restructure, get some Man City players in, whatever it might be. But I think right now that probably is the plan. Just go for the triple up, try and get big points this week, and then decide what to do kind of next week. And obviously next week I could do that Robertson move if I wanted to, and then bench Rafinha or bench Chris Wood. And to be honest, if Luka Dean is fit, I'd probably play him as well and just go 5-4-1. Luka Dean is a bit of just to rabble on a bit more, if Luka Dean's fit, it really helps me out because he's got good fixture in 35 and a good fixture in 37 as well. I don't know if he's going to be available. The annoying thing is if he's not available, the best option is probably just to go to someone else in his team like Matty Cash. But we'll decide that next week. So that is my plan for game week 34. This is the team as it stands. It's probably going to be Fernandes and Kulusevski to Havertz and Mount. Let me know what you think about that. That will be for a -4. Right now, the captain's on Havertz. That could change to Mount. I think it's very close. I think it's very close. I think if I think Mount starts twice, I'd probably just switch it to him, to be honest. Let me know below what you're doing. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like. Hit that subscribe button if you're new around here as well. And I'll catch you again soon for another video.